Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. First, I want to say thank you to the guys that are participating in the SatFish Intensive. It is awesome. I have learned so much. Lesson 1, we covered the water temperature. In that lesson, I learned where I'm not going to be looking at anymore. Dr. Jeff has taught us how to piece together water as far as the temperature goes. And then in lesson 2, and a lot more than that. And in lesson 2, we covered chlorophyll and how it relates to what's happening present day. And then in the next lesson, we're covering currents and altimetry and putting that all together to find fish. How we're going to do that? I guess it's not too late to get signed up, because you know what? It has opened my eyes, and we're going to be looking at several different areas down here in South Florida. One is Broward County as well, West Palm Beach, all the way down to the Keys. It's finding fish. We've put together all the puzzles, okay, including eddies, how to look for, we're going to be going through all that stuff in here in the final lesson, plus the question and answer. And that's where the gold is at, okay? So I get asked a lot about, okay, how I use all this information to find fish. Okay. First, I have several years of logbooks and migrations patterns. I'm not afraid to try something different. It isn't always about the pre-spawn and all that stuff either. That's the hot buzzword out there right now, and amongst the I call it a factory word, is what I call it, a pre-spawn. Okay, these fish move in and out. It's just how it works. There is no magic bullet with this stuff. So I am using SatFish to know where I'm not going to be and where I'm going to be. Now, one thing is, for example, if you guys are going down to the Pulley Ridge, for example, you should know how to prepare based on where the loop current is at, what the eddies are doing, all that stuff. Okay, you should call your captain and ask him and say, hey, what's the current doing out there right now? You can see it via satellite. Okay, don't always put yourself in a position to where, especially when you're going on long distance trips, to say you always know what's going to happen, because you can actually use these satellite imagery to track what the ocean is doing, okay, as far as currents go. That is how I use it as well. Okay, I put together scenarios, and I also look at it. I'm like, okay, I pick out 3 spots. Okay, I pick out 3 areas where I'm going to try, for example. Okay, and I'm like, and then I eliminate an area where I know there's not going to be any fish, based on what I see, and historically based on not only on SatFish, just based on my logbooks and fishing pressure. Okay, and how the fish are reacting at a time and all that other good stuff, and what the current's going to do in that zone. The SatFish helps me with that. Is it a magic bullet? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Have I been caught in areas where I shouldn't be? Yes, I have, but I've adapted. But what I seen the last weekend was I saw a majority of people fishing in an area that was good the next day, the previous day, where I knew wasn't going to be good in that, and on the that day, like the current day, based on what I seen on SatFish and what I seen the previous day, what was happening. Okay, so when you get that thing, it's like, oh, you're going to crush them, and then you get out there, you may have crushed them on that spot the previous day, and then the next day there's nothing. That's how it works. So how do you know? A lot of it is like, hey, you wake up in the morning, you look at the satellite charts. In the course, we went over satellites and how they work and what times they come through, what to expect, how to put together the movements of the ocean. Okay, so what I like to do personally, let's say for example, if you're fishing off like Broward County, for example, okay, and you look at and see how these wrecks align with the edge there and how the current is going to push into that day. You don't know what it's going to do. You really don't. Everybody thinks it's tide and all that stuff. It's not all the time. It's not. Anytime you're fishing, it's all good. That's more than anything else that I like, meaning that you just go when you can. Okay, if you miss the tide, then you adapt. You fish in different areas. You use SatFish to help you with that. You just have to go do it. Okay. So let's say, for example, you look at all those like wrecks that line up and down like the 240-foot line off Broward. It's no secret, okay? And you see how it slopes into how it slopes there. Do the math. You get it all lined up, and then you have to see when that current is going to align and push in there. How is it pushing? There's patterns of how it's going to push. And you can see it on the SatFish of how that happens. You can see why in the morning can be better than in the afternoon. Okay, so also too, you're coming off a cold snap. In the last session, we covered water mixing, giving you like a false reading on where to be as far as water temperatures. When is the best time to read the water temperature? On the SatFish, there's all these different things that I look at that I was like, whoa, I didn't know that. So it was just awesome. So as far as knowing where to be, I look at it. I get up in the morning and look at historicals. Am I going to fish live bottom? Am I going to fish wrecks? How am I going to fish based on the fishing pressure? That's huge for me. So you can have so I'm like having to look at all this stuff to put together a plan, and that's what I do. Am I going to fish a knocker rig deep, a fish finder rig deep, or am I going to fish a stationary bait that's not going to move anywhere with a mutton crusher? I don't know until I get there, but I'm going to be prepared to do both. Something might not be working one day. Sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know. You just get out there and you do it. So a lot of it's intuition. And you prepare for it. You prepare the right baits for the weather. So that's another thing. Prepare the right baits for the weather. Let's say, for example, you're going to fish for yelloweyes, okay? This is part of one of my podcasts that I did several years ago. It's out there now, and a lot of guys don't like to share it because they found it, So yeah, congratulations to you guys. So, but that found it and have been very successful. But if you're going to look for large yelloweyes, you need to fish in 250 feet out to 300 feet, and you fish a long leader. Then you catch 1 to 2, and then you're gonna find American red snappers mixed in there, depending on where you're at. Okay, but that's how you catch them. Those fish don't really like chicken rigs. Okay, they like a long leader. They like one bait. You catch them one at a time. You'll be surprised. You fish the Miami zones, and you look to see what the current's doing. If it's manageable, if it's coming in there right, depending on whether it's blowing from the south, blowing from the... I prefer a northeast wind when I fish. I love the current smacking against the boat. It turns up it creates it creates these nice upwellings. It gets the bottom moving. Yeah, it's difficult to fish. And yeah, I don't necessarily want the current moving with the wind all the time. I really don't. I like a northeast wind against the tide. It makes it difficult to get boat position, but man, you get it down right. You have the right bait to fish that northeast wind, and yes, there is a right bait to fish the northeast wind when it's cold. So, and you have that bait, and you're golden. So, you get out there, you look, you see what the current's doing. You do that before you go, and in the next lesson, we're going to go through the altimetry charts, and that's going to really open your eyes. And a lot of guys are looking at that like a major puzzle. Well, it's one thing about actually speaking to an oceanographer about how that actually works versus a fisherman. There's different interpretations, and if you're using AI, that is completely off. That does not work, okay, when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it was fun to have that conversation with with some other guys. So also too, we're going to cover, there's this stuff that, in the future that I'm going to cover, on the bottom with these charts. What I've learned is that a lot of this stuff that a lot of guys are fishing doesn't exist. It doesn't exist on the bottom. I see you guys going out off of Conch Reef trying to fish bottom that's not even there because it's the no, I'm not going to get into that, but it doesn't exist. And those are the things I'm covering in I had the last meeting in the fishing club. It opened their eyes to what was real and what wasn't. Okay, so and that's what they're doing now. They're looking at all these different all these different charts and saying, no, that's not real. I don't need to fish that, but this is real. So we're going to cover some of that in the Angler's Edge group as far as the spot fishing, as far as the spots. And then now what I've done is I'm completely done with my Gulfstream app, and I'm super excited to release that to the Angler's Edge group. They will get that as well in that, along with when I'm working on something for the summer for the dolphin fishing and where the dolphin are at and tracking them, as well as deep dropping and a spots finding app where they'll have bait fishing spots and all that other kind of stuff. I'll be putting into that as well. So I'm super stoked for the Angler's Edge. And if you're not in that group, I highly suggest it. I'm getting ready to, the guys will be getting that app here soon. I'm just putting the final touches on it because I like it to be perfect for me. So, but yeah. So as far as finding fish goes, listen, I mean, first you got to learn how to actually read the SatFish and understand it, okay, which is where we're at with the intensive. So, and also too, we have, now if you're not in there, we have the free blogs that you can go to on my site, and SatFish also has a wealth of blogs on their site as well. If you want to get signed up, you can get $20 off using my code GoodKarma, and you can start playing with it yourself, if you want to figure it out yourself. But why put yourself through that misery when you can just jump into this course right now? So, and learn. So this is how you're going to get better. Okay, this is how I like to get better. And if somebody tells me that they have the bottom dialed in, I just laugh. Because even the guys that are really good bottom fishing, they just laugh at them too and just shake their heads. Nobody really has it dialed in. So, but what happens is you make your best judgments by having the right tools. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up with a summary here. Okay, finding fish with SatFish. First, you have to, like I said, we went through the first couple of lessons. The third one's going to be the blue frosting on the Publix cake, which I absolutely love and don't eat anymore, except once in a great while. And then, or that nice Publix sub. Okay. And then the question and answer is going to be awesome. I'm very much looking forward to that. Okay. You get to sit down. You get to actually ask Jeff questions and myself. So, and as far as finding fish goes, once you go through and I learn all that stuff, it's like I know where to be and where not to be now. I really do. And it's only taken a few years to know that, and we put it to work last weekend. We didn't really focus too much on the wahoo fishing because we've only got so much time. So if I get some guys that want to focus on it, we'll spend time. But most of the guys right now, they're looking to put together a good box of fish. And we've only got so many hours in the day. So we've been doing a lot of mutton snapper fishing, and it's been very, very good for us. Very good. Very good. We're catching plenty of mutton snappers. We're catching plenty of porgies. As far as the yellowtail fishing goes this time of year, I don't really like I don't know. I like the yellowtails. They get kind of funky this time of year. They'll wake up a little bit. Here, that water temperature, we're going to see major changes here if hopefully this stuff gets out of here. The last time we seen this was many, many years ago, and it sent a shock through our fishery. And I'm praying when I go to bed tonight that this cool weather moves out of here quickly, so we don't see what we've seen way back when, which was not fun. So, but you can also too, if you're on the Gulf side, you need to be looking and seeing. Like if you're targeting hogfish, the hogfish is very, from what I know about hogfish, is that is a very temperature sensitive fish. Okay, because I remember picking those fish up and getting them off the beach after a cold spell, and they literally just died and they were floating out on the reef. Okay, which was horrible. because it really sent a shock through the system. And then our hogfish limits got changed. So I know that fish is super sensitive to cold weather. I know it. I've seen it. Okay, so that fish will move. We're going to see migration start moving. So there's going to be some changes. You got to look for the warm water. So if you're a Gulf fishery guy, then I would really start looking at the SST charts in the morning and seeing what that water temperature is doing, and then start to make plans as far as what you can target and what you can't, or how far you're going to travel. Define good water. When I say good water, that's going to be warm water. What time of day is it going to be popping up? Are you going to go fish that incoming tide? You're going to go fish that outgoing tide. What's it doing on the outgoing tide? I would start studying the day. If I was going to be fishing on Friday, I would start looking at it. And we taught the guys that were in those first 2 lessons, we showed them how to do it. So, okay. That's all I got, guys. When it comes to finding fish, use the maps. Do the math. Try not to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's always the big effort. And somebody tells me if they finally got it figured out, no, it'll change. They'll find a new area that's not been pressured. But you know what? In this day and age, there's always going to be somebody on your ass or somebody that's going to chase you down, and then that spot's going to get blown up too. Then you got to find a new one. And that's all part of the game of fishing. It's been like that since we were kids. All right? Think about that. Okay, that's it, guys. If you want to get to join up with the SatFish course right now, you can go to goodkarmafishingtackle.com. There's a link in the show notes that you can join. And then if you want to get signed up for the Good Karma rigging crew, we talk about rigs in that group. But if you really want to start getting dialed in, we have a monthly Angler's Edge program that I send out a monthly lesson on spots, and then I open that up to Q&A related to the spot. But if you want to get in on the Good Karma Fishing Club, I'm an open book to that one. There is a one-time payment for that for the year. And there is a screening process for that. So to get involved with that group. Okay, guys, that's it. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.